when you think about the earlier years of YouTube and all of the stuff that you've seen, the evolution of it, how it's changed, the apocalypse, the people that has come and gone, and people that passed away, all of this other type of stuff, and then the things that you've seen. Um, what do you think about the state of content creation in a general sense? Like, do you think that that's the wave, that's the movement, or do you think that it's some problems that need to be solved within the spaces in order for us to really continue to grow as content creators in a general sense? Because they didn't introduce shorts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Within the last few years they did live streaming, all of that type of stuff. So it's continuing to evolve. We got TikTok now.
Yeah.
What do you think about everything that's happening?
Um, I think we got issues as far as like there's this whole thing with the men and women thing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
This whole thing with the men and women thing. And there's a lot of dudes that they don't like the fact that there's women in the space or whatever. But it's like you really can't have a conversation where you're just yelling at the wall or somebody's yelling back at you. You got to be able to have a conversation, even if it's a debate. It got to be two sides to it. You can't just have one side talking at the other side. And so what I notice is most of the people that are growing and actually having some success are the ones that are actually trying to have the conversation and have some sort of solution, some sort of resolution, as far as a lot of the topics, because you got, not to bring nobody up, but you got some people that's just, they get on YouTube and they become fanatical. You know what I'm saying? They become fanatical where they just want to, I'm going to just be about this and I'm going to be about that. And everybody create their own little factions. And then after they create their factions, they go to war with each other.
Yeah, they do.
And it's like, you ain't making no money. You ain't growing and nobody's listening to you because you're too fanatical. So
yeah.
that's the only problem I really see, in the space. Other than that, I would like to see people be more innovative. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as creating different types of shows.
Oh, that's not gonna happen.
He said it's not gonna happen.
I don't think so, because we figured it out based off of being our authentic, like you just said, right? You just broke it down, and I said, well, what made you even start playing it like you planned it anyway? And you said I experimented, but then one day I seen a conversation being had, and they was doing this, and then I just cut the camera on, and then that's when I started kind of going off, and then it just did what it did. It was authentically you. Who I am is completely different from who anybody else is, despite we may have a similar mindset or perspective towards maybe relationships or whatever, but I come from a completely different background, and the way in which I have conversations is based off of my own life experiences. Corporate America, where I was raised at, my family structure, money, all of that other type of stuff. And so it's just authentically me. I think that what I see from the overwhelming majority of the people, and one of the reasons why they're not growing, or they gonna hit a wall and they just gonna stay right there, is because they trying to be you. Or they trying to be me based off of what they see as popular online, instead of being them.
Yeah.
And then letting that be the thing that carry them. And so I don't, it's just like rap. Like, we the new rappers in reality, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
And what you see happening is, from my perspective, it's the same thing that happened in the industry, right? You're going to have the Jay-Z's, you're going to have the 50s, you're going to have the Eminems, you're going to have the Bigs and all of those type of people, right? And they going to do what they do. Drake's, right? As much as people may like or not or dislike Drake was uniquely Drake. You know what I'm saying? He was Toronto, he was, Degrassi, whatever, and he embraced the LL Cool J lane with the ladies. But then you had a lot of these other Me Too type of dudes that may have tried to follow the wave, and then they might have caught a little bit and then they fell off.
Yeah.
They don't have no longevity. So I don't really see it. I think that the people that are successful on YouTube, they have a core fan base based off of the fact that they are authentically them, and they really, authentically get their thoughts regardless of how people feel about it. And people rock with them because they they can actually see the value that they bring. Let me ask you this question, because I want to kind of take it back a little bit. Where are you originally from? Like,
Originally, I was born. So my pops is from Brooklyn, but they moved to VA, right? So when he met my mother's from VA. They got married, and they had moved out to Las Vegas because he was in the military.
yeah,
And so I was born out there, and then from there we just lived every freaking
military kid.
yeah, everywhere. But the places that influenced me the most when I was younger was Brooklyn, New York, Detroit, Michigan, and as I got a little bit older, I want to say before I hit double digits, we started living in VA because see, my great grandfather had like over 150 acres in VA. So there's one street where everybody on both sides of the street is just my family. Just my house, like my family's houses. Like at the top of the street is my grandmother's youngest sister, her second youngest sister, and then it's my grandmother's house. Then behind her is her brother's house. Across the street is her youngest brother's house. Because it was like 15 of them,
Yeah.
right? So whenever anybody moved away, so if they moved to Detroit or if they moved to New York or wherever, if city gets too much for them,
Yeah.
they would always go back to VA. So I spent a great deal of time in VA, and then eventually I think my father he finally settled in Raleigh,
Okay.
and so I finished up school in Raleigh and shit. But
You are definitely a New York guy. Like it's all like New York dudes. You can tell a New York dude a mile away. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way that y'all move. It's the way that y'all talk. It's the type of music that y'all probably adapt to the most. When I would tune into your show in the morning and you be playing the music, I'm like, oh yeah, AM is certainly a New York dude. Do you think that you most impacted and influenced by the whole Brooklyn side of what your life is?
yeah, cause like it's crazy because everybody tries to claim me. You know what I'm saying? Like when there's a family reunion, my Detroit cousins will be like, "Yo, when you coming back to the D?" They try to claim me, but the reason why the New York part had such an influence was because my grandmother lived in Brooklyn for a very long time. My father, my uncles, and then when I got older, like every friend that I got is literally from New York. Like Israel is from Brownsville, Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My
I can
wife.
tell.
Yeah, you can tell, right?
Yeah, I can tell.
My wife
All
is
these New York dudes, I can tell.